I'm always curious on how people watch their own shows, whether you get together with other cast members, do you watch it in your own time, do you watch it all, like real, some don't, some do.
Yeah, well, personally for myself, I watched most of it in the beginning, and I stopped watching it after a while, and I honestly haven't truly figured out why. I think part of it is just that I don't watch TV. So I feel kind of badly. I'm like, God, I should be watching my own show. And I really, honestly, separate from being a part of it or anything, I'm a fan. Like, I think it's amazing. But I just don't make time to watch television. And it's such a commitment. It's not one of those shows, like, the only show I ever watch once in a while is House. But it's one of those ones that you can just turn on, and I'll be doing other things, and I know exactly when he's going to have the epiphany and when he's going to... It's like, you don't have to be paying attention to every little thing, and you don't have to have watched the whole series to know what's going on. So I just haven't made the time, or didn't at a certain point, didn't make the time because I was busy doing other things. But then there are other people on the show, like Leah Cairns. She knows everything. She plays racetrack, and she's so great, and I feel like such a dunce when I'm doing Q&As with her, because any question that's about the show, I like point in her direction, because she's so excited about it and so into it. She's one of the actors that I was referring to before that had watched the show and then was able to get a part on the show and was just so thrilled to be a part of it. So it really depends on the person, and I know some people watch it just because they really want to grow themselves as an actor, as a character, and really understand it. And that's kind of for me, like in the beginning, how I was approaching it, really wanting to understand, and also seeing the process from when you read the script to filming it on the day to then what ends up on the screen is so cool. Like, once they add in the music and they've edited it, there will be things, I know exactly what's going to happen. I know every word, and yet I'm still like, there's tears running down my face because I'm so moved with, the music is amazing. I mean, that I think is a big part of it, but it's just such an interesting process, and to see how many people are involved in making this thing happen that you watch, it's cool. So yeah, I don't watch a lot. Sometimes we would get together and have big showings of either the finale or the premiere. So there were times when we got together and did that, which was extra cool because when you watch it on like a big screen with surround sound, that's an experience.
How did you guys deal with like the darkness of the show? Like, did it ever get depressing after a while? You working on that dark show?
I think we all dealt with it a little differently. You all know how Aaron Douglas dealt with it. But for me personally, I did my best to leave the work at work. There were times where I'd have some really intense days and be working. There would only be like 6 or 7 hours between when I finish to when I have to be up again to start working when we're filming on Cobalt and things like that. And it was dark. I would say humor is the biggest way that we dealt with it, just even while we were filming sometimes. Not a lot of people on the show were the type of method actors that have to be in it the whole time and you can't disturb them. Like, we're all pretty realistic and have different tools or ways that we use to act. So, sometimes we would get pretty intense, but for the most part, everyone was so supportive and there for each other, and we make a lot of jokes, I would say. That would be the biggest way we dealt with it. And I always found it not too difficult to separate myself from the character. And maybe what's easier about our show is the fact that we are in this different world. Like it didn't feel like my world. When I left the spaceships, I was in a totally different reality, in my reality, and I didn't feel like I brought that with me. So I don't know if that could make a difference for people who are on shows that feel more familiar, that it's harder to detach, but
Were there any clips like on Planet of the Apes? The gorillas would eat with the gorillas.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
I've heard that about the Twilight series. I know someone who's on it, and he said, he's like, he only really knows the wolf pack, you know, and they become really close, and they all know each other, and then the I apologize, I haven't seen it, so I don't know what they all are, but I know that they tend to kind of hang out. I would say for a show that definitely lends itself to that by having the different groupings, that we probably had less of that. Like we would have social gatherings, we all showed up at the table read, and so there were people that I never worked with, but I still felt like I had a relationship with them and had a connection to them. So there's of course the reality of like, I was working with Aaron most of the time, and so we had a different kind of comfort level and familiarity and kind of relationship or dynamic. So definitely there's that, and the Viper pilots worked more together, but there wasn't that separation when we were just together. Like there only was because we had worked the same hours or things like that, but when it came to sitting at the lunch tables or whatever, there was no real difference. Which, yeah, it was nice because there's certainly the potential for that.